So the latest comments in what has become a soap opera that certainly has kept us busy. Welcome to Game Time here in our studios in Atlanta. Casey Stern, Steve Smith. Smitty, plenty to talk about. And we get some luck here because we get a chance to welcome in the championship general manager for David Griffin, who, of course, knows as much about the Cavaliers as anybody. David, you used to be in this spot. You've dealt with situations like this. How did we end up in a position where it seems like it's been a surprise to Cleveland, the hip situation with IT?
Yeah, you know, I don't think it was a surprise necessarily. I think when you go through these deals, you share all of the information you have, you share all the images you have, and if the most recent images from Isaiah were as far back as the playoffs, then when you get a new set of images now, that's going to create the ability to compare and contrast and see how things have improved. So I don't think that it's a situation where anybody was caught off guard. I think it was just a case of getting perhaps more information. And obviously Isaiah is in this league because he has heart and soul and a resolve that is almost unparalleled. And I believe him when he says he's going to be back to 100%, and I don't think anything that's been revealed to this point should make anybody think he won't.
You know, David, looking at this deal, if you were still the general manager and Kyrie wanted to be traded, would you have made this deal?
Yeah, you know, I think I would have. I really think that Kobe Altman made a tremendous trade here, given the circumstances. You know, Smitty, and you know this, when you're trying to win a championship, there is no in-between. You're all the way with me or you're all the way against me. And I think this was a situation where Kyrie made it clear that he had a goal set that might not have jived with what Cleveland's was. And they made a deal here that even in the absence of Isaiah Thomas, it's a tremendous collection of asset value that Kobe was able to get. And at the same time, Boston made a trade that they get a piece that really could be the key for them, and a 25-year-old player in his prime who's an NBA champion and an Olympic champion and just really starting to scratch the surface of who he can be.
David, we're approaching a deadline. Are we past the point of no return on both sides? Does this deal, even if it changes or is tweaked in some way, does this deal need to happen now for both sides?
Yeah, I mean, I guess sometimes in these situations you think of it as mutually assured destruction. There's not a lot of upside to the deal coming undone for either side. And because of that, I think it'll end up going through as is, and hopefully they'll be able to get Isaiah to a point where he's ready sooner than people think at the moment.
You know, David, looking at this deal, and you know a lot about the Cavaliers front office, if this goes through, are the Cavs' intention for a title just this year run, or do they have multiple seasons of trying to make it back to the finals, in your opinion?
Well, I think one of the real blessings of this is that Kobe and his team don't need to be done at this point. They can continue to try to build the team. You know, the value to production of Jay Crowder and his contract are incredible. You know, as you move forward and you head towards the trade deadline, the assets that they've acquired here may be able to be put to work again and continue to improve the team. So I think they're really in a unique position because this doesn't have to be the end for them. At the same time, I think they clearly wanted to get some sustainability, so that lottery pick was really important because in the absence of LeBron, that's the piece that helps them rebuild rather quickly.
David, appreciate the time and your insight helping us with this situation as it continues to unfold. Thanks again.
You bet, Casey. Smitty, thank you very much.
We get a chance to welcome in good friend of the program, Gary Washburn from the Boston Globe. Gary, Celtics fans were just starting to get used to the idea of Kyrie Irving. Now they're in limbo. What do you think the chances are that we're going to see this deal get reversed before the deadline?
I think very little. I think they're going to work out this deal eventually. They've got another day or so. And I think the Cavaliers have come to the realization that Isaiah Thomas has an injured hip, but it's nothing that's going to cost him the season, but it's something that might cost him regular season games. But I thought that information was already pretty much public before this trade went down. So I think they're going to come to a resolution.
Gary, Steve Smith, if you look at this Boston Celtics roster, you know, they've attracted Al Horford. They've gotten Gordon Hayward, Kyrie Irving. What do you think is next for them? You know, as far as do they still go with young players and picks, or do they start to sign mega players and try to look for superstars to try to win it all?
Well, I think they feel like Kyrie is maybe the final superstar that they need. You've got Horford and you've got Gordon Hayward now. So you got 3 guys on the roster. 2 are earning the max, and Kyrie eventually in a couple of years is going to get the max if everything works out. So I think now that you're just trying to develop your young guys. You're trying to get better with Jason Tatum, with Jaylen Brown, with Marcus Smart. You've got Marcus Morris. You've got Aaron Baines. They feel like they have a strong supporting cast. Terry Rozier, and you just try to go from there. Of course, they love more star power, but I think, Steve, the key now is developing those 2 guys, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, into superstars.
You know, Gary, I know IT told Woj today that he's not damaged goods. He'll be the same player, that there's been significant progress. But I think a lot of people are thinking, regardless of what the Cavs could have found out on their own, did Danny Ainge try and sell some damaged goods here in this deal to Cleveland?
I think it's been pretty public knowledge that he was hurt, that he had not played basketball all summer, that they were contemplating surgery in the early going, and they decided against it. And I think that was Isaiah's decision, and that he had not picked up a basketball, and he's still not been cleared for 5-on-5. I don't think that was any secret. Now, the question is he going to need surgery? If he needs surgery, that's very serious, and that could take him out, till maybe the All-Star break even further. But if he continues to rehab and do treatment, and he misses the first 10 games, I don't think that's that big of a difference. And I think the Cavaliers have to come to that realization that they might lose him for a good chunk of training camp and maybe a little part of the regular season, but I don't think this is a serious injury. He's been rehabbing now for the last 3 months, and I think he's making progress. The Celtics, and Brad Stevens said before the trade, before this even went down, that he was making progress, that he's going to undergo some more tests early in September, and they'll know for sure how long he'll be out then. So I think Cleveland will have to deal with those timelines.
Gary, Steve Smith, a question I had, we know Kyrie wanted to be traded. Was there anything coming out of Isaiah Thomas's camp that he wanted to be traded from Boston?
No, that's the toughest part. I mean, there's a bittersweet emotions with the Celtic fans in Boston about this trade because Isaiah was beloved. I mean, you're talking about a very eventful 2.5 years he spent in Boston, 2 All-Star teams, All-NBA team, leading the team to the Eastern Conference Finals, a 53-point game in the playoffs, just a phenomenal run for him. And he was an everyday guy. He looks like an everyday guy. He's only 5'9" on a good day. So fans really related to him. He was great in the community. He embraced being a Celtic. He embraced bringing the franchise back to respectability, all of the above. And to see him go, Celtic fans were very sad. Although they're excited about Kyrie Irving, Isaiah liked playing in Boston. He enjoyed it, and I think he was very, very hurt by the trade. So I had no idea, don't think any idea that he wanted any type of a trade. I think he wanted to stay home.
Gary, I feel like I should say goodbye saying like sands in the hourglass, these are the days of a Celtics fan's life. Enjoy. We wait for the next round. Talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks a lot, guys.
You know, Smitty, the Cavs have pulled back renovations on Quicken Loans, but they don't want to be renovating their roster anytime soon, at least the new roster. Let's go back to the conversation with David Griffin. You and I were just talking about this before the show. It's past the point of no return.
Yeah, it is.
You can't go back.
You can't. I mean, we all know Kyrie wanted to be traded. And if the trade was rescinded, obviously Kyrie would be upset, Cavs would be upset. But he know he's leaving. I think Isaiah Thomas, and I asked Gary, he said to his knowledge, and Gary's close to that team, and we all understand that Isaiah Thomas didn't want to be traded. So I think right now it will be tough to see Isaiah Thomas go back to Boston. This will be really hard for the Celtics organization with Isaiah Thomas.
And both teams would have no leverage because other teams, like perhaps maybe the Knicks with Anthony, would know, hey, look, you got to get rid of these 2 players. We will be adding players into the Hall of Fame. One of those in the class, T-Mac. We'll take a closer look at the career of Tracy McGrady with help from our boy Sekou Smith. It's coming up next.